Okay, just knocked out another horror film from my big list, The Descent. This is another one that has been in my crosshairs for a very long time. I've known about this movie since I was like really young. Obviously, it's not as notorious as like a Friday the 13th or a Hellraiser or anything like that, but when it comes to new millennium horror, I would say that Descent is pretty prolific. And I had gone into this movie knowing pretty much the whole premise. Basically, about people who go traversing this tunnel system underground. They get lost, and then they find out there are creatures there, and they have to survive. And I really liked the premise, and so I was excited to see, how it would be executed. And let me tell you, for a movie that is an hour and a half, it goes by quick. All right, the pacing of this movie is really, really well done. The beginning with the scene of the car accident, shit hit me hard, man. That was intense. That was right off the bat. Did not see that coming, right? And kind of a crazy little sequence there. Never take your eyes off the road. But then, you have the six main characters, right? The girls, because you don't really see much of, or at all really. There's one guy in the whole movie, freaking movie. And if there was ever a movie to paint men as the worst people, it'd definitely be this movie, because there's one man in the whole movie, and he's the one at the beginning who causes the trauma of our main character, Sarah, by not paying attention to where he's driving, causing a crash, and killing their child. Crazy, but the pacing of this movie, though, which is really important for me, somebody who is attention deficit, who constantly is intimidated by movies that are over 2 hours in length, thinking I'm going to lose my focus, I'm not going to be entertained. This movie was great because it's like two movies in one, right? I think a big strength of this film, because the first part of the movie, the first half of the movie, is about these friends who are traversing this crazy, dark, spooky cavern, if you will, or this tunnel, right? And it becomes a question of, okay, are they gonna make it out of here? Are they gonna starve? Or are they gonna freeze? You don't know what's gonna happen to them, right? If you knew nothing, right? If you just so happened to turn this movie on right when it started and you didn't know it was called The Descent, you didn't know it was a horror movie, you would be like roped in there. You would be on your edge of the seat purely based on, your, interest in their survival, kind of like a 128 hours type vibe. And I think that is really good. And I think that is an excellent, excellent display of storytelling and filmmaking, and interaction for the characters, and just everything, right? I love the cinematography in this movie. The caves, the shots, if you're claustrophobic, this movie is probably going to make you feel uncomfortable. And I wouldn't say I'm necessarily claustrophobic, but I suppose I am uneasy whenever I see these people, traversing through these little tiny freaking, little crevices in the wall, and wondering how the hell they're going to get back out. And then whenever they get stuck, this, that, and the third, it definitely resonates with me as being an unsettling prospect. And the movie you don't actually get to see the horror of this movie, if you will, until probably close to an hour in, before you actually see like the first creature or whatever. And I gotta say, they remind me a lot of the creatures from I Am Legend, right? They're like these blind, cave-dwelling, gargoyle type goblin monster hybrid things. I mean, they're pretty strange. They're blind, right? And we got some smart characters. Another thing about the characters, this like hodgepodge group, and I noticed this when I was watching it with my friend. They're like all from different country. Like it seems like, because the beginning takes place in England, and then they're on a vacation in Appalachia in America, and like every character has their own accent, which I thought was I thought it was funny. It was like giving themselves their own little flair, right? But no, the little goblins, the cave crawlers, right, is what they're called. I think they're called the crawlers. Those things are fucking terrifying, right? They are so creepy. They make your skin crawl for sure, and they're blind, which is kind of a cool little nugget there, and it kind of plays as an interesting survival tactic for, you know, the people inside, and also it makes sense, right? Because most things that live underground are blind, and I like how they thought that through. Now, there's an interesting bit of conflict once they get into survival mode. The characters, that is, like obviously there's the scene where they first encounter the crawlers or whatever, right? And the girl like breaks her leg or whatever, and she's going out to go save her. She gets attacked by a crawler. Then, you know, the crawler like eats or, you know, really mangles up the girl with the broken leg, drags her away. The girl who's trying to save her turns around, accidentally stabs her friend in the face, which I thought was crazy. Didn't expect it. Props to the movie. But later on, right, she ends up leaving her friend for dead, which I can't really fault her, honestly. I mean, obviously she didn't mean to kill her, but she stabbed her right in the neck. You know, like, there's no way she's gonna survive. And in my shoes, obviously it's a horrible thing, it's an accident, she couldn't help it. I would have ran off, just like she did. But she didn't. She left her for dead. Later on, one of the girls finds her, learns from that girl that she like dies right there, but she tells her that she left her. And I love how at the end of the movie comes full circle. She finds out, she gives her that little thing that her boyfriend gave her, I guess, just to let her know that, you know, she gave this to me before she died. Then the girl Juno is like, no, she died, like I didn't watch her die. She's like, fuck that, that's not true. At the very end, when it's just them two left, she leaves her to die, which I thought was some fucking awesome karma, because yeah, not only did this girl Juno, not only was she the one who decided to take them in this mountain that they'd never ever traversed before and that they didn't know where the fuck they were going, she also accidentally, but still did, kill one of her friends and leave her to die. So you can't really get mad. I'm not really upset. I was kind of like, that's kind of badass, honestly. Shout out to Juno though. She deserved to die, because ultimately she's the one who got them in the cavern nest to begin with. She kind of killed her friend, left her to die. Her friend didn't even die right away. And so she got like stabbed in the leg, started screaming, and then just a huge swarm of them came and killed her. And so there are a few things that I want to talk about. I really, really like this movie. I really did. The crawlers, there are so many of them, right? Like, it's funny, like at one point in the movie, they like kill like 2 or 3 of them, and they're like, yes, let's go. And then towards the end, she like shines the light, and there's like 20 of them, and you're just like, holy fuck. Because like, when you're watching this, right, there's that feeling of isolation, you know, which is something I absolutely love, where there's no feasible outside source that can help you. They're in the middle of Appalachia, so far down underground, there's no way anybody could help them, right? And you know, there's only a few characters, right? And you're up against a, you know, unintelligible force where you don't know how many of these creatures are out there. You don't necessarily know what the fuck these creatures are. You don't know how to defend yourself. Not only do you have to defend yourself from them, but also you have to defend yourself from getting out of this area where there's no food, there's no water. I mean, it's hell, right? And I fucking love love movies like that. I loved it. This movie was great. The one problem I had with this movie, and it's a catch-22, because I appreciate their execution because it's effective, but with an asterisk, and that is the lighting. And this movie, I could not imagine, I was telling my friend, we had all the lights off. I could not imagine watching this movie during the daytime. You have to watch this in a dark room. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to see shit, especially during some of those scenes where there's little to no lighting because, well, you know, how much natural light would there really be when you're 5,000 or 10,000 feet underground, like they said they were? I mean, like, you know, how much realistic light can there be before you're like, okay, this is a fucking movie set, right? And they did a great job with that. But at times, it's hard to tell what the hell's going on. I recount like 2 separate times where the lack of lighting mixed in with the excessive, in my opinion, amount of cuts that were really quick and precise. There were, at the very end, where the two of them are fighting off the last bit, right? Right before the end of the movie. And then whenever you have the scene of the girl who gets her leg broken, whenever she gets dragged off and then she, Juno accidentally stabs the girl. That sequence right there, everything happens so fast, and the lighting, it's hard to tell what the hell's going on. Those are my only 2 gripes. Otherwise, the performances, the setup, the execution, the effects, it's all amazing. I mean, it's a great movie. It is, thus far, the best movie I've seen of the ones I've rambled about. I give it a 5 out of 5. The nitpick is a nitpick, and it's not very significant. I think this movie is scary because it's one of the situations where, even for me, right, somebody who's not often scared or freaked out or buy into like the hype of certain movies that are like trying to scare you, with this 10,000 feet below the surface, who's to say there aren't some fucking creepy creatures down there living? We don't know. And that's part of the draw to this movie for me. It's fiction, but like, is it too far-fetched to believe that there are some blood-sucking, blind meat eaters down there? I don't really know. But yeah, no. This movie easily gets 5 stars. The Descent, it's fantastic. I recommend it to just about anybody, with the exception of somebody who is genuinely scared of movies, because if somebody gets frightened by most horror movies, they're definitely gonna shit their pants when they watch this one. It's great.